Hello my dear students, welcome to computer science class. Let us continue with our chapter, that is arrays. Now herein, in this video, let us start with a new topic, that is memory representation of one-dimensional array. So as you can see here, I have taken an array of data type character and the array name is A, followed by the size of the array as 5. Now, we know that the elements of one-dimensional array are being stored in contiguous memory location. Contiguous memory location in the sense, one after the another, consecutive memory allocations. As you can see here, the array called as an A, okay, is having the size of 5. If it is having the size as 5, then what would be the range? The range would start from 0 to n minus 1. Therefore, 0 to 4 we have. The positions are here 0 to 4. Now, here the positions, instead of referring as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, here the positions I have taken it as 5000. 5000, 5001, 5002, 5003 and 5004. Whether it starts from 0 or whether it starts from 5000, it should be the size as n minus 1. Now, herein you should concentrate on the data type. What is the data type here of this particular array is character. As we know, the size of the character data type is 1 byte. That means what? The array is having 5 elements. Each of one of the element will have the total capacity of 1 byte. So, the total memory allocation done for this particular array would be 5 bytes. Like for example, this one is being stored at 5000. This is stored at 5001, 5002, 5000. So that is A of 0 may be consisting of element known as 10, A of 120, A of 230, A of 340 and A of 4 as 50. So each element 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 what I just now referred to, all are having the capacity, the total byte will be each element of 1 byte. So total byte, what is memory allocation is done for this particular array is, that is 5 bytes. Now let me make you understand how I am able to say that's a 5 bytes. We have a formula for this actually. See, the total size of an array can be calculated by this following formula. So, the total size is equal to the size of type. Size of type in the sense, the size of the data type into the size of the array. In this particular example, if you look at this, size of type in the sense, size of this data type, that is character, and followed by the size of the array in the sense, the size of this particular array is 5. So I just need to substitute the values here. The size of character data type as we know is 1 and the total size of this particular array is 5. So 1 into 5, the total bytes is 5 bytes has been allocated for this particular array known as A. This is how I was explaining in this particular slide that this particular array is holding total is 5 bytes. So how it is 5 bytes? The element whatever we may store in this particular array, each element will be having the total size of 1 byte each. So we have 5 elements in the sense 5 bytes. This is how you need to calculate the total size of this particular array. Now moving to the next one here, we know the size of this particular data type integer as 2 bytes. And what is the array name is A, followed by the size is 3. So as per the formula, the total size is equal to the size of this particular data type into the size of this particular array. The 2 into 3. 2 into 3 in the sense total 6 bytes is the memory allocation done for this particular array as per the formula. Now let us see how it is done. Now look at here. We have the 2 bytes. So 2 bytes in the sense that is 16 bits. So 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. So 2 bytes in the sense 16 bits. Now both this particular locations combiningly will become 2 bytes. Therefore, so we have having the memory allocations like this 5001, 2, 3, 4. At the A of 0 subscript, that means the 10 element, the first maybe I'll take 3 elements as 10, 20 and 30. The 10 element will take 2 bytes. The 10 element, whatever I may store the value, will take the total 2 bytes. Similarly, the next element will take again the 2 bytes. Okay, the next element will again take the 2 bytes. That means the locations for this particular element 10 will be, that is 5000 and 5001. Okay, so therefore I have underlined it to show that, so each element consists of, that is 2 bytes. So therefore total memory allocation done for this particular array would be 2 into 3, that is total 6 bytes. 2 bytes here, 2 bytes here and 2 bytes here, total 6 bytes. So in this particular example you can see int a of 3, that is I have just substituted the value, that is 2 into 3, I got the 6 bytes. I hope you are able to understand how to find out the size of the array. Suppose if I have, that is float z of 4, if I have for an example float as a data type, z is the array name and the total size of the z array is 4. As we know that float data type is of how many bytes, that is 4 bytes. So the total size of that data type into the number of elements, that is 4 into 4, that is 16 bytes will be the memory allocation for the array known as Z. So this is how we are able to calculate the total size of one-dimensional arrays. Now students, let us move on to the next topic that we need to discuss is about the two-dimensional array. So what exactly this two-dimensional array? This two-dimensional array, it is an array in which each element is being accessed by the 2 subscript. Here comes an example. Here you can see I have an array known as A, wherein we are able to access this particular array by using the 2 subscripts, wherein the first subscript always represents the row number and the second subscript always represents the column number. Therefore, the definition of two-dimensional array is, it is an array in which the element is accessed by the 2 subscript, wherein the first subscript represents its rows and the second is representing the column. Now let us see this particular image, wherein the column numbers, you can see these 0, 1, 2, 3 up to n minus 1. We know that array subscripts always starts from the 0. Okay, so always whenever it comes to the row also, when I say the size of the row is 2, definitely it would start its position from 0th location. So 0, 1. Okay, so 0, 1. And then 3, if I say the column numbers, definitely how much it will be position? That is 0 to n minus 1 means 0 to 2 it will be. So therefore, here if you observe 0, 1, 2, 3 up to n minus 1. So I can say the column numbers have been usually represented by the variable n. Okay, and the rows are usually represented by the, that is m. So these are representing the rows. That is how many rows are here? 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4 followed by up to m minus 1. Up to, that means m minus 1 means in the sense if I give the size. Say for an example, we know that int a of 4 in the sense, how do we calculate 0, 1, 2 and 3? This is how we are giving the position. So similarly here also, always array subscript starts from the 0th location, wherein the columns are being represented with the n and the rows are always being represented with the m variable. Now let us move to the next slide, wherein here it comes the declaration. A very important one. We have seen the declaration as well as initializations of one-dimensional array. Similarly, here also in case of two-dimensional array also we have the declaration as well as the initialization. Now here comes the syntax, which is very important. Okay, the how to declare an two-dimensional array. So the data type followed by the array name And the first subscript we should mention as row size, and the second subscript has been mentioned with the column size followed by the semicolon. An example here you can see data type. Okay, as per this, data type is integer followed by the array name, and the row size is 2 and the column size is 3. Similarly, we have another example where an int a of 3, 5. A of 3 and 5. So when I say int a of 3 and 5, 3 I will be always referring to the rows and 5 I'll be referring to the columns. Now how the representation will be done of the two-dimensional arrays? Now look at this particular figure. Now these actually represents the columns. Okay, these actually represents the columns. Okay, suppose the elements of two-dimensionals are, we know that it is represented in terms of rows and columns. To identify each element, we should exactly know the row number and the column number. Suppose if I want to fetch the element which is present at this particular location, I should know its row number, I should know its column number. Suppose if the element, if I want to fetch at this particular location, I should know this particular row number and I should know this particular column number. I hope you are able to understand. So therefore, we know that rows are being represented with the M and the columns are being represented as N. Therefore, usually the two-dimensional array order, the order of two-dimensional array, we can say that is in terms of M into N. M into N. The order of two-dimensional array is M into N, where M represents the row size and N represents the column size. Therefore, what is the order of this particular array? That is M into N. That is 3 5s are 15. The order is 15. Here it is what it is. What would be the order here? That is 2 into 3. That is 6 elements. Total 6 elements I can store here. Total 15 elements I can store here. I hope you are able to understand. Now here comes, you can see this particular figure. I said the order is 15. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So totally 15 elements you can store. Now when I say what is this array, what is this row size is 3. If the row size is 3, definitely it should be up to M minus 1, 0 to M minus 1. Therefore, and we know that array subscript always starts from the 0th location. Therefore, the first row is being referred with 0. The second row is being referred with 1. And the third row is represented with the 2. Similarly, column also. When I say the columns is 5, its range lies from 0 to N minus 1. Therefore, this one first column is referred to 0. Second one 1. Next is 2, 3 and 4 up to N minus 1. Okay. So, what would be the position if I want to fetch the, if I want to fetch the element at this location? How do I fetch? What is the array name? A of 0, 0. I should know its row number. I should know its column number. When I write A of 0, 0, then actually I'll be referring to this particular element. What if I want to know the element? What if I want to fetch the element which is present maybe at this location? Then it will be, if I want to fetch, how do I write that array subscript? How do I mention that particular position? That is A of 1 and 2. A of 1 and 2, how I am referring? Always we should refer to the row first and then column first. Similarly, if I want to know the element which has been present at this location, then it will be, the first we should say the array name. Array name is A. So, what is a row? That is 0th row. Okay, and which is the column? 3rd. So, how do I write? A of 0 and 3. A of 0 and 3. If I say that, I'll be referring to this particular location. To make you clearly understand, let us move on to the next slide here. Here comes the next one. Yes. Now this is an image wherein we have given the particular locations of each element. You can see the first one, the first element which has been present. So here if I want to fetch this particular element, I am first referring to the row and next I am referring to the column. And always remember the processing would take place, okay, first all the rows will be processed. First all the rows will be processed, okay, then we go for the first rows will be processed according to the columns, then second row will be processed according to the columns, and the third row will be processed according to the columns. Like first how the sequence it goes, first row, first column will be processed, first row, second column, first row, third. So this is how I have written here, marks of 0, 0. This is what? Row remains the same throughout here. So this location, marks of 0, column 1. So 0, 1. Marks of 0, 2. Marks of 0, 3. So here marks of 0, 4. This is how we are processing. After that, okay, after that what happens? Similarly, see, when I am moving from this one location to the another location, definitely I will be using the for loop. Actually here in two-dimensional array we are using the two for loop. One for loop is used to control the rows and another for loop will be used to control the columns. Okay, so then control points to the next row. When it points to the next row, definitely the row numbers has to be changed. Okay, row number will be changed from 0 to 1 and the columns will be changed accordingly, and the row will be fixed throughout it reaches to the end of this particular row. So this is referred as row of 1, 0, 1, 1. So 1, 2, that is 1, 3 and 1, 4. Similarly here, when we are pointing to the third row, row remains the static and we are changing according to the column wise. I hope you are able to understand how we have given the numbered or the positions for this particular two-dimensional array. Moving on to the next one, a very important one, how to initialize the two-dimensional arrays. We have seen now how to declare. Let us move on to the how to initialize. So what is initialization? Providing the elements to the array is said to be as initialization. So previous examples we have seen int a of 2, 3 followed by a semicolon. That was just a declaration. When we start giving the values to the arrays, then this process is nothing but initialization. Now what is the order of this particular array? The order of this particular array, that is m into n, that is 2 into 3. The total how many elements it can hold? It can hold 6 elements. It can hold 6 elements. Now what will be the positions and how the values will be assigned? So the first 6 elements means first we should understand this is how many rows? 2 rows. So 1, this is the row 0 and this is the row 1. I hope you are able to understand. I am explaining with this the concept of this particular rows and the concept of this particular columns here. So when I say the rows 2, row would be starts from the 0 and 1. Now when I say 3 columns, definitely columns would also starts from 0. So 0, 1 and 2. That is n minus 1. Now herein we know these positions will be fixed. So a of 0, 0 in the sense 0th row, 0th column. So 0th row, first column I am referring to. So here also 0th row, second column. After that, so then we are incrementing the row value, isn't it? We were first pointing to at 0th row. Now we are getting incremented to the row. When we are getting incremented from 0, definitely after incrementation, row will point to the first row. Similarly, here row first and column 0. Isn't it? Here column we are incrementing. So column now became 1. Row same, column is incremented again. So next when we are pointing to the next location, row is the same. We have incremented the column. So here main intention here is to tell is one loop we are using, for loop we are using to control the rows, and another for loop we are using to control this particular columns, because every times the positions are it will change. Now if you see the values here is equals to, in the flower brackets, how many we said the order is 6. So 6 elements I have mentioned. So how it takes, the first one, 0th row, 0th location, 0th column will take the first value. That is 0th row, first column will take the second, subsequently the next third one. After this, it knows how many rows and how many columns. Once it reaches to the, that is the second column, okay, automatically the next value will be stored into the next row and the again 0th column. Next row in the sense the first row and the 0th column. So 4 is assigned here, 5 is assigned here, and 6 is assigned here. This is how the initialization would takes place. Now in this previous slide we have seen the position. We were just seeing about these positions. Now in this slide we also seen how the values will be initialized to specific positions in positions or the locations in the two-dimensional array. Now let us see another example so that you can clearly understand. So here in this particular example, here we have the array name as Z, 2 columns, that is 2 rows and 3 columns. Suppose if the values, if you see the values, only 3 values are there. If the values are missing, by default the compiler will assign the values as 0. We know that even in the first one-dimensional array also, if we don't specify explicitly the values, implicitly the compiler would assign the 0. Same way here also in two-dimensional array, you can initialize the way of writing. You can write it in this way also, or else you can write it in this way also. So when we write in this particular way, so Z of 0, 0 in the sense 0th row, 0th column, okay, 0th row first column, okay, 0th row second column. Similarly, just array name is changed. I have kept the same, the order here as 2 into 3. Now look at the elements here. In the first row, actually how many elements we need? 3 elements, that is 3 columns we need. In the first row, how many rows are there? 2 rows. So this is the first row and this would be the second row. In the first row, 3 columns, 3 values should be there, but the third value is missing. Therefore, Z of 0, 0 will take the value 1, Z of 0, 1 will take the value as 2, wherein the Z of 0, 2, the value is missing here. The value is missing. Therefore, it will be assigned by the compiler the value as 0. Similarly, when the counter has to come to the second, that is the second row when it points, that is actually the first one. When I am referring to the second, that means for the array, since it is starting from the 0th location, the row will be pointing to the first. So when it points to the first row, we have the first element. So therefore Z of 1, 0 will hold the value as 3. But look at this, the other 2 columns values are missing. Therefore Z of 1, 1 will be assigned with 0 and Z of 1, 2 will be also assigned with 0. So this is if the values are less, okay, if we don't give the enough values, then by default the compiler will assign values as zeros to those particular locations. I hope you are able to understand. Now moving on to the next example here. What if I want to assign all the array elements to be 0? Okay, so here comes another example. Here the array name is C and the size here I have taken it as same, 2 rows and 3 columns. So I'm just mentioning in the flower bracket as 0. If I mention in this way, by default all the array elements would be taken as 0. Even if you don't give the inner brackets as 0, so 0, 0, in that way also if you give also, all the elements by default it will be set as 0. Okay, so this was one of the third examples of initialization. Suppose one thing is when you give the sufficient values, accordingly that the initialization will take. If you are missing any values, by default it will take 0. Even if you want all the elements only to be as 0, this is the way how to assign the elements as 0. Now let us move on to the next topic, that is how to access the elements of the array. We saw how to declare, we have seen how to initialize. The next step is how to access. Now herein, this is an example wherein we can read, that is here I'll take an array as int a of 2 and 3. The same example what I have taken the previously, that is here array name I will take it as int a of 2, 3. That means how many elements I can store? 6 elements I can store. I was always referring, I'll use one of the for loop to control the rows, and one more for loop I'll be using to control the columns. So here is an example. Okay, how do we write in the programmatic form? So cout, enter the elements. So this one for loop I'm using in order to control the rows. That is, I is equals to 0, I should be less than 2, and I plus plus. That means when I have an array as int a of 2 and 3, 2 rows and 3 columns, I have to point initially at the 0th location. Now here is a representation. This is the 0th row. So when you observe the positions, you'll get see. A of 0, 0 means 0th row, 0th column, 0th row, first column, 0th row, second column. That means what? The outer loop, that is the row loop, the row should start its location from the 0th and should iterate up to, that is m minus 1. M minus 1 in the sense what? That is 2. Am I right? So here, next coming to the j loop, that is how to control the columns. That means, that is how to control the columns means, that is 0, 1, 2. How many columns we have? We have 3 columns. So this is one for the rows, and this is what we are referring to the columns actually. So row index 0. That means right now I'll be pointing to the 0th row, and I'll be pointing to the, at this position, first column, second column, and the third column. Now here is an example where what happens, how to write when we go to the second row. Second row we have to process. In that case, how the code will be? A of 1, 0. That means first row, that is first column. Sorry, first row, first column. First in the sense I am referring to the row number 1. 0 we have completed. So as per this would become the second row and the 0th column. So second row, the column 1, second row and column 2. So this is how we will be able to write. Now look at this one. To print the above 6 elements, because what is the array? Int a of 2, 3. To print above 6 elements, 2 rows and 3 columns, we write the following program fragment. See, enter the elements. Rows, how many we have? 2. This is to control the rows. Columns, how many we have? 3. So I should start from the 0th row and should iterate up to the, that is the second, less than 2 in the sense row 1 only will be there. So similarly for the columns, column should start from 0th location and it has to should be less than 3 means less than 2, and then every time the columns are incremented, no, so j plus plus. And this is, we need to print. If we are printing, I am using the cout setw, that is a of ij in the sense I represents row and j represents the column. So students, in my next video I'll actually tell you how to trace the program, how to read the elements and how to print the elements. So this is the code of reading. Printing I showed. So this is how I will read the values. It is a of ij in the sense a of row number and the column number. So this is the code to read the elements and this is the code to print the elements. With the tracing I'll be explaining in my next video class. So just how to write the code for the 2-dimensional array to read and print, how we are processing the rows and columns. That is why these program fragments I have shown. I hope students you will be able to understand. Thank you students. Take care of yourself.